I want students to know when they leave my classroom that everything that they see in this life is something that they can reply to and rethink. That I think that we live, particularly now in an age where social media determines so much of our social interactions, where so many corporations seem to run so many of our consumer choices, that it may seem as if so many things have been decided upon for us and it's just the way it is. This is how you make a friend. This is the kind of coffee table that's cool. This is the kind of relationship that makes sense. This is the kind of career goal I should have. And I hope that by the end of every class I teach, my students know that there is nothing that they have to do other than continually question the way the world is made and challenge themselves to participate in making and remaking it. That understanding there is no vision, personal, professional, ethical, emotional, sexual, that is not also a revision, a requesting to remake the world again because it's our responsibility to do so.
What I would like my students to take away, and in fact what I think they do take away, because I'm in close contact with many of my former students, is a commitment to working with public education in the United States to attempt to address some of its problems. It's easy to be very depressed coming out of particularly the fall semester course in which we're looking at politics, particularly in public schools. It's easy to be depressed by the magnitude of the problems and the difficulty of their solution and the long time that we've been addressing trying to solve them. But students come away committed to doing something, some of them in the classroom, some of them in think tanks looking at education policies, some as simply informed citizens and parents to attempt to address these major problems that we have in public schools. I think it's important that they understand, and I think they do understand, that there is no such thing as a silver bullet. Education is a field which is filled with a plethora of silver bullets. Everybody that comes down the pike has a different silver bullet that's going to solve all of the problems in American public education. There is no such thing. American public education is huge. It's been around for a very long time. It moves very slowly, and it's not going to be solved by a single quick solution. And I think that that's an important lesson that they take away.
What I absolutely adore about teaching at Yale is the receptivity of the students to questions and responses that cause them to challenge ways that they've been thinking about their lives for the 18 or 20 or 25 years that they've been living before they got here. I'm constantly astonished by the willingness of students to ask deep, major questions about what allows them to flourish, what gives meaning to their lives, how it is that using texts from ancient and modern world traditions can help them answer questions that they care about, and how it is that coming up with their own answers to perpetual questions can help them find meaning in their lives and provide value to the communities around them.
What are the main things that I would hope the students would take away from classes? I very much hope they will get the idea that there's not one simple answer or even one complex answer to a question. That many questions have multiple complex answers. They always don't like that. They like there to be an answer. But then I say, do you know about light? Is light a wave or a particle? And they've all had enough physics to know, and they say, both. I say, okay, so if light can be both a wave and a particle, then both of these views can be right. So I think one of the most important things I like to get across is don't be monocausal. Don't be monocausal for two reasons. One is that things aren't monocausal, they're actually complexities. But the other thing, just as important, is that in the social sciences, not like physics, in the social sciences things change. So things that I learned as an undergraduate are no longer right. We live in a different world now than we did 10 or 20 or 30 years ago. And so you have to have enough flexibility of mind to change as the circumstances change. There's a famous line from John Maynard Keynes when in the middle of the Depression somebody said to him, Mr. Keynes, this is a different theory from the one you had in your book in 1930. And Keynes answered, when the facts change, I change my mind. Pray, sir, what do you do? So that's something I like to get across.
When the students themselves on the study of China become the subjects, as it were, then of course they're a source of information. In a way, information that I have no other way to get. But it's the dialogue. That is, the students then ask you questions you didn't think, that you never thought of, and of course they force you or inspire you to give answers that you never could have gotten by yourself. And that's why those of us who enjoy teaching, love teaching. You're just in a dialogue with the students, sometimes one-on-one, but other times it's the group. And if it's a large lecture, it's a lecture format. So you lay out something and then the voices come in different ways and you respond to that. They tell you directly and indirectly where you've made a connection and where you haven't. So there's that general thing with the students, then there are very specific things that they come to you with, things they don't understand, or with alternative explanations they want to fly by, and so they're always teaching you.
Every year at the end of the last class for thermodynamics, we make a pilgrimage to the Grove Street Cemetery where we go visit the tomb of Josiah Willard Gibbs, the person who's responsible for the most important ideas in thermodynamics that really defined thermodynamics as something that's more than just steam engines, who was a native of New Haven and a Yale student and Yale's first PhD student and a member of the faculty. It's sort of a cheesy, hokey thing in this modern world to sort of take a step back and go to a gravesite, especially in the context of a hard science class, to make a trip to a cemetery. I always thought it was just a funny thing to do on the last day of class, but it's amazing how much the students enjoy it. Across the semester, I often talk about Gibbs, how he was a real person, but spending a whole hour walking together to the cemetery and talking about his life as a whole, I think really has a big impact on them. It's always really fun.